Let's take a look at this poor thing. This is a very rare Brazilian Apple clone, Apple II clone, I guess. The micro Engenho. You don't see this every day. It is very rare, but apparently this was a bit ruined in the mail. So I'm gonna open this up and see if it's still fixable, working. So I'll be back in a sec after I opened it. Well, I took the top off. It's just hanging on with these two screws, that's all. Well, this motherboard seems, well, old but intact. Very dusty, but I see here there's a big capacitor that's loose. But it's not bulged or anything, so might just need to solder it back. Is there a power supply? Is this the power supply? I guess so. Oh yeah, this is the big transformer. I guess there's two regulators here, maybe. So yeah, well, let's try and fix it then. Well, this entire power board seems to be attached on one metal plate, so I should be able to screw that out. And here's the power supply to the main board. This must be the speaker, and there's power going there, and that's, I don't know, what is that? No idea, maybe the modulator? Yeah, must be the modulator. Okay, so this power supply was only screwed in with 3 screws, so now I can disconnect it, remove the motherboard cable and this possibly modulator cable, and that seems to be about it. Voila! Great, let's have a look at this one. And here it is, the power supply. Apparently this has 2 negative voltage regulators, a 7912 and a 7905, although it's indication that there's also positive voltages. I'm no expert on power supplies, so I can't tell you how those positive voltages are getting there. Doesn't matter. When you look here, the cable has been cut off. I have had this many times with old computers. I have no idea why people cut them off, but most of the times you can just connect a new cable and the computer will just work. Although in the case of this one, it might not be as simple. So let's first see if I can see if the fuse is still working. I'll take my multimeter. Well, I only have like 2 hands, so I will not be able to show you how I measure a fuse, but I'm sure you know how to do it yourself. Okay, the fuse measured out fine, so now I have to decide how to connect a new cable to this. I have like a white, or a red, and I don't know, a brown or black. What is it? Yeah, a red, a white, and a black cable, power cable, and the power wire in the power cable. Sorry about that. As you can probably hear, my native language is not English. So yeah, I have to figure out what's white, what's red, and what's black. So I'll now go and look it up on the internet. I guess the red and the black wire are hot wires, and the white one is neutral, according to the internet. But if you look here, the white wire is connected to the base of the transformer, so it's pretty certain that it's a ground wire, a neutral. So when I get computers like this, when somebody cut the cable off, I like to just keep the original wires and put one of those connector thingies here, and then my new wire, so I can always disconnect them when I want, and I can reuse my power cables. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to strip these 3 cables and fix one of those connectors and a new power cable. Well, I couldn't find the white connector thingies. I don't really know the name in English of those things. I should have some, but no idea where they are. So I'll skip to soldering the capacitor for now. To get to that capacitor, I need to unscrew that little board. What to get to the screws, I need to first loosen this transformer. So that's what I'm going to do now. See, while loosening this board, I can now see where the positive voltages come from. They're covered in dust, so I didn't notice them at first, but here they are. These must be the positive voltage regulators. And apparently to get the board out, I will need to loosen them too. Well, that's fine. I can apply new thermal paste afterwards, so let's do that. I detached those regulators, and what are they? I cannot read. It's no, I currently cannot really read them. 7805, probably this one. So that's positive 5 volts. A lot of dust, and these plasticky, come on, focus, man. And the plasticky so there's no shortcuts in the regulators. These things are a little gone. Might need to find a solution for that. I don't have these things. Well, let's first go on with the things we can do. I definitely should take off the dust. Then I can fix this capacitor in place. The leg is still long enough. I just tried it, so it fits in the hole, so I will be able to just solder it back. After soldering this and dusting it a bit, I will connect the power cable, and I will test this power supply separate from the computer to see if all voltages are still correct, or if it maybe does kaboom and dies right here and now. But we'll see about that later. So let's first get this capacitor fixed. I dusted it a little bit, and I soldered the big capacitor back, cleaned the bottom of these regulators. Apparently this is 12, plus 5, and plus 5, so that explains where the positive voltages come from. I also cleaned these plasticky things because I don't have any spares lying around, so I will have to reuse these. So now I decided maybe to just solder the wires to a new power cable, because I still cannot find the white connector thingy to use, so that's what I'll do right now. Look what I found after all. This is the white connector thingies I was speaking about before. Here we call them little sugars, because they look well, a little bit like sugar cubes. So with these things I can connect the old wires to the new power cable. I also have this wire pull connect resistance, or whatever you call that, so if somebody pulls the cable, it just doesn't all pull out. So I'm gonna just get busy doing this cable and fixing this stuff back in place, and after that I'll get back to you and we will test the power supply. Well, that was a fiddly job. I hate those fiddly jobs. Well, I cleaned the cooling, put new thermal paste, the capacitor, added these well, white connector thingies, so we now have a power supply. Fuse is good. Well, everything is ready to get tested now, so I'll plug this in and see if it doesn't explode. That's typical. You put it all back together, want to try it, and what happens? This wire is broken off. Well, after a whole lot of cursing, I finally decided to put in a new voltage regulator. Now I notice the colors are inverse. I made my wire colors inverted, although this one also had them inverted, so I guess this one has been repaired once before. I could see it by the soldering. Somebody did some repairs there too, so it's not the original one in any case. It's just about time to really test it out. I placed the power supply back in the computer. I connected the keyboard, and this seems to be the cassette interface thing. Oops. I dusted a little bit, not enough, but hey, whatever. Did not put these two cards in yet, so I will now get the monitor and see what it does. Connect it like this, or maybe, yeah, I just connect it. See if the power LED lights up here on the keyboard. Let's see what it does. I hope it doesn't do boom. So far so good. Powered on. Nothing. Is it doing nothing? No, nothing. Well, maybe the LED's broken, so let's just connect the monitor and see what it does. I connected the monitor. When I powered on, I get this stuff. Some I don't know, random crap. So there might be a little bit more wrong with this computer. Maybe like no, it doesn't do anything. The reset button isn't even working. Let's try again. No. Maybe memory error. I don't know. Well, I just inserted those two cards again, two expansion boards. But no, when I powered on, wow, micro Engenho! That's great, isn't it? Well, give me a moment. I'll connect the keyboard now. Let's see what it does. I connected the keyboard. So this is Le Moment Supreme. what does it do? And it works! Incredible! That's great, man. This thing actually works. Look at the state of it. Ha! And it works. Well, Brazilian quality, I guess.